What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and welcome to my Ultimate Warrior Guide. Now, Warrior in this game is absolutely phenomenal. Even though Thief is my favorite vocation, personally, I think this is the best iteration of a Warrior I have ever played in an action RPG outright. We have the shoulder check, which is fantastic. We have the ability to speed up our attacks. We have the ability to poise through. We have perfectly timed charges. We have a variety of abilities to choose from. It's just satisfying. Like, when I think Unga Bunga, everything that goes into that fantasy is executed beautifully in Dragon Dogma. So, with that being said, let's take a look at Warrior. This is definitely one of the most fun vocations to play in the game, and like I said, the satisfaction levels I get out of this class are just peak. So, looking at our loot, there's actually two more I'm going to pull out. We covered this in the best weapons video, but I'll go over them again real quick. So, in terms of best in slot, it would be a Dragon's Flight, ideally with Batali upgrade, as opposed to Dwarven. Now, on a pawn, I absolutely go Dwarven. You can see the difference there. Well, part of it, hang on, let me take off his and give it to me so you can see an A to B comparison. You can see we have a little bit less damage, but way more knockdown. And you're probably like, well, hang on, Cowboy, why would you not take almost double the knockdown? And the thing is, there's basically a soft cap on knockdown, and Warrior is already at that soft cap. We are going to be getting knockdowns the same rate, whether we're using this one or we're using this one. However, if you aren't hitting weak points, as in you're consistently hitting like the legs or, you know, the lower back or whatever, you might be better off going for the knockdown. So because of that, I think that makes more sense. The Dwarven enhancement, I think that makes more sense on a pawn. He's also missing his pants, I'll get to that. But for a player, I mean, I'm going for chest snipes, I'm going for head snipes, I'm going for those weak spots. And so I think going with Tali makes more sense. Now, as for the Dragon's Bite or the Dragon's Flight, on paper, Dragon's Bite looks better. We have a little bit less lockdown in exchange for more strength, and it has this perk where it gets stronger the more damage you take. In testing, I don't feel that it pulls ahead. And on top of that, Dragon's Flight has a massive damage increase against dragons, roughly 80%, which, considering dragons are the hardest enemies in the game, we might as well take the advantage against them. I will say Dragon's Bite looks way, way cooler. I love the aesthetics of this sword, but if we are looking for peak effectiveness, you got to give it to Dragon's Flight, being able to slay dragons easier. On top of that, I think the hitbox of this is actually slightly different. I don't know, just in the testing, I've gotten a lot more fall down hits from Dragon's Flight compared to Bite. But if you want to go more elemental, Cinder Spine is a great alternative choice, as is Cyclopean Thunder. Cyclopean obviously being a little bit weaker on the stats, but we get more knockdown power. Cinder Spine is just super satisfying, but both of these are fantastic choices, and you would go Dwarven on these because you're picking up both the strength and the magic enchantment. As for gear, I'm not really a fan of the Agamemnon and Galia. That is what you would run to match Dominators and the Vanguarders Greaves, to have this whole, like, you know, Death Warrior thing going on. Blazing Soul is a decent alternative. I like that with the hood up. The Vashra Scaleskin, not really a big fan of that one. Executioner's Greaves would go with the other set, or there's the Diabolic Cussies. Over on Sirash, I actually run the Persecutor's Horns, which, just to show the stat difference on those, you can see they're not that much farther behind. Like, they are a little bit, but, you know, there's a point where it's like, you know, you got to go for the fashion. You got to go for the fashion that you like the most. But in terms of the set, the Agamemnon Dominators in particular is incredibly strong with the debilitation resistances that are on it. So highly, highly recommend that. But let me go ahead and remove the Vanguarders. I'm going to give those back to Sirash, so he is not pantsless. And I'm going to go ahead and put the Executioner's Greaves on. I'm going to go ahead and deposit all this stuff so I'm not fighting it heavy. Similarly to before, like I said, when it comes down to capes and rings, this is largely going to be preference. I actually run the exact same stuff with Thief here. Admiral's Mantle. I just think that the black and red goes with a lot of stuff, you know? And then obviously Vehemence and then Triumph, they work in fantastic with Warrior. Going on over and taking a look at all the abilities.
Looking to no need to overthink it. You can change it on a...
So let's do the breakdown. Heaven Ward Sunder. Despite being the first ability warrior gets, this is unironically one of the best. This is incredibly strong. It has a very long hurt box on it. I cannot recommend this ability enough. Rending Sweep. I mean, it's good from an AoE perspective, but the thing is, we're just going to be able to fast swing anyway. And I find that the number of situations where this is going to be useful ends up being diminished because of that. Bellow, being able to call in and draw aggro is kind of nice, but at the same time, we have a lot of stuff that's already going to increase our aggro, so I think it kind of is overkill. This is something that I would more consider on a pawn if you're trying to push them into a pure tank role. Goring Lunge has great potential at killing weaker enemies. This really falls off completely against bigger enemies, but this is a good use to kill things like Saurians, Goblins, anything that's smaller. Ladder Launch is great from the utility of getting people onto chests. I had this on my pawn for a long time, and he was using it just too much in combat, so ultimately I removed it. But obviously, great utility ability. If you have a pawn that has this, and you see a chest and it's up on a cliff, you can use the Go command, and they will usually initiate this so you can launch up and get the chest. Diluvian Strike is very potent in the situations where it works out well. You know, this is great to kill lesser enemies, but I also think it's not really needed to kill lesser enemies. I like to use this if I happen to be climbing on top of something as a warrior, but to be honest, I don't really want to be climbing on top of stuff as a warrior, so I feel like this kind of fits into a weird niche where, like, it has a good use, but that use doesn't really fall into the warrior toolkit. But it's just some interesting flavor here. In Spirit, this is a fantastic tool all around. I don't personally run it. I wish it worked better with my pawn. My pawn never seemingly uses it, but I mean, you can break a ton of different CC effects with this, so fantastic. Indomitable Lash is decent. And I only say decent because I think this falls into the category of pure DPS skill, and there are much better pure DPS skills. Mountain Breaker and previously Null Breaker are probably one of the most knockdown efficient moves in the entire game. Hitting a perfectly charged Mountain Breaker, you're going to stagger Chimeras, Dragons, Cyclopses, forgot what they're called, the Trolls. Like, I mean, this is just fantastic. Mountain Breaker, OP. Tidal Wrath, fantastic counter if you can time it right. Don't even, it have... No, that is the upgraded version. Okay. You know, the window on this isn't as good as Warrior, but when you hit it, it's very satisfying. And I think since you are playing a tank class, it makes sense to have this. Windstorm Slash, incredibly satisfying. Arguably the highest DPS skill in the Warrior's kit, assuming you can hit those button presses. You can use this to absolutely shred through a dragon. And then lastly, we have Arc of Might. Arc of Might allowing you to do the super big Unga Bunga Slash at the cost of expending all of your stamina. Now, I really like the flair of Arc of Might. I agree. The extreme stamina usage on it is a bit high. So if you don't enjoy Arc of Might, I would suggest Windstorm Slash instead. And then we essentially put our moves into 4 categories here. You know, we have Mountain Breaker, which is our CC. We have Heaven's Ward, which is damage and CC. Tidal Wrath, which is our counterattack. And then our big damage, which will be Arc of Might or Windstorm Slash, which on a pawn, I actually would not recommend using Arc of Might on pawns. Pawns will not use Arc of Might how it should be used, which is getting a full charge and hitting a weak spot. We're going to be showcasing that as we get into fights. Using this correctly, you're going to chunk 3 to 4 health bars off when you do it. Using it incorrectly, you just end up winded and on the ground. So Windstorm Slash obviously is not a concern in that case. Hopping over to Augments. Similarly to before, Zeal and Dynamism are starters. Knockdown power from Dominance. I like Provocation on Warrior since I'm kind of serving as the front line for the party, so I want things coming after me. Constancy just to further augment our knockdown resistance, and then Athleticism so that I can sprint for longer. But having access to Constancy, and especially combining that with gear that has been upgraded with Dwarven, you are a poise machine. Like, you are just going to be shoulder checking through everything. Very, very satisfying. So let's go back to the same spot we did on our rogue before. Thankfully, I can just, after I kill all this stuff, I'm able to just quit and then reload and save us right back here, which is fantastic for making these guides.
We've arrived well enough. Where to next?
So against a dragon, I'm gonna open up the heart first. And then once the heart is open, I'm just gonna, he will let me, oh, he's gonna go up in the air. I hate fighting him on this little cliff. It's less than ideal. I can just get a couple mountain breaks, he's gonna be completely down. There we go. Dragon's down already. And now we go for Arc of Might. And this is probably going to kill him outright. Oh, slightly whiffed that. With the jaw snipe. If you are going to use Arc of Might, I would highly recommend you have some like Harspud Roboran on. Being able to get back your stamina. Like after Arc of Might, you pop a stamina item and then you're not going to be winded. So you definitely want to have that ability. I don't know. Can we stagger a dual hand? I'm not even sure. Well, not if he's gonna run away like that. Would you stop teleporting so much? Let's see. See how we got the double hit on Heaven's Wood. If I can get him to attack me, I can go for a Tidal Wrath. I don't think I have enough time to pull this off, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Hell, that's 2 kills in a row now, where it's been Heaven's Word Sunder securing it.
You would gather materials here, Master? Can we really afford
I notice a lot of people don't really do this, but your jumping heavy attack is also very good on Warrior for getting staggers. Like if you're just running at something and then you jump and get a stagger, you can get head snipes very, very easily with that, making it just super useful ability.
We've earned ourselves a pat on the back.
We mustn't allow ourselves to become complacent. Take each trial as it comes.
Do not waste
I'm gonna have
this
them
chance.
wait.
We must press home our advantage.
Strike fast and true, and our quarry shall fall.
Well aimed.
You can also do a shoulder check post ability to kind of animation cancel and get back into it a little faster. Might be too late to execute this, but we'll try.
Look out, Arisen! We're under attack!
You can see that knockdown resist on the armor. We're just sitting there fighting while he's trying to cast and just...
Fall back, and I will heal you with my magic.
They got me with him. Has he put me to sleep?
Just one more
Bonk. Literally berserk.
You haven't forgotten us.
Let's see if there's anything else I can find, like a Cyclops that's around here. Killed those 3 so fast. I wanna.
You seem rather fond of this place, Arisen.
Where your overconfidence does not lead to caution.
See, sometimes there's a Cyclops or something up on the road. Might be able to add one more big enemy just to continue our slaughter. Or an ogre. That's what I was thinking of earlier. Yeah, those things, Heaven's Word Sunder, will shred them. Just gonna run into the forest. There's definitely gonna be an ogre. I can sense it, right? The ogres love the forest. They're always trying to pop out. Dead. Some spirits. Come on, man. We got some of these guys, I guess. Let's kill them. Yeah, we're just, like, Warrior is just insane in this game. Especially if you played Warrior in the first Dragon's Dogma. Like, dude, it is an absolute far cry from how the class used to be. Because old Warrior, man, old Warrior was not pretty. But here, oh man, here it feels fantastic. Either way though, let's wrap things up. No Cyclops over there for me to kill. Yeah, Heaven's Ward also great for taking those things out. You can't go wrong with Warrior. It's fantastic. But either way, we're gonna wrap things up here. I think up next I will. I'm not sure which one I'll do next. Maybe I'll do the. Maybe I'll do Mystic Spearhand. The class has a lot of flavor. It's a good one to play. But either way, thanks for coming on by, and I'll catch you soon with another one.